What is up, guys? So the meta has actually shifted a fair bit last patch, and I thought we'd take a look at the most underrated champions who I think are really strong. Now these are specifically champions who aren't picked or banned as often as others, and even though they are strong, people just aren't prepared or expecting your damage, which only makes them better. This is another video done with the folks over at Pro Guides, and you can check them out down in the description below, but let's jump straight in with AD carry. Twitch has literally flown under the radar for a while now, you know, because he stealths and stuff. But yeah, the new Dustblade item is really sweet on him. He was pretty decent anyway. He had some good damage and an amazing team fight, but he does kind of struggle in the lane phase. Most of the popular ADs right now are lane bullies, and they can set him pretty far behind, but with the Ghostblade and Dustblade combo together, he turns into a ridiculous powerhouse, and it's worth that risk again. Not only will he do a ton of damage in team fights anyway, which he was already doing, but 1v1 you don't really stand any sort of chance anymore. Why not throw a Ruinous Hurricane in there for good measure on top, and you've got yourself an AoE critting machine that applies poison and has a bonus AD and range from your ultimate. Now I want to make these videos as useful as possible, so let's add a game plan in for each champion along with why I think they're underrated. We're going to want to farm early, trade when we can, but we really kick it into gear at level 6. With our ultimate and Ghostblade combo, we can really start to deal some serious damage. We stealth up to people and catch them off guard constantly. You really want to roam around the map, you want to catch people in lanes, you want to catch them rotating, and you kind of snowball the game that way. That is the easiest way to win. If that does fail, we go to plan B and we just group with our team, we sit at the back with our ultimate and we wreck team fights. Now moving into the middle of the map, and Vel'Koz is going to be next up. Let me just say, okay, just like every other mage, he isn't going to enjoy Talon and Zed players jumping onto his face, but unlike the others though, he has a really high range and a good few tools to deal with them anyway. You do have good wave clear, you have long range poke with a slow, and your ultimate can deal good damage in a team fight without even getting close to people. One of the biggest things with Vel'Koz actually is his passive. If you ever feel like you're not doing much damage, then it's probably because you aren't using it properly. The one thing that really puts him on this list is like a new Vel'Koz player won't really do too much honestly, but then an experienced one will carry really hard, and this means two things. Okay, so firstly, Riot isn't likely to touch him balance wise, and secondly, people aren't likely to pick him away from you either. To me, he's got to be one of the most annoying mid laners to play against really, and actually let's jump into our game plan, which is kind of why. The lane phase can be played in two different ways really. Against hard lanes we can farm and we can max our W and wave clear constantly. Against easier lanes we can actually try maxing our Q and we can just poke and we can force them away, or we can grab some kills. Mid game is really where we shine. That's kind of why we want to be picking him. We play him a lot like Lux. We just poke and reduce the health bars before a fight starts. This one I think is actually one of the best people to use Dustblade apart from the obvious Zed and Talon. Jarvan has a huge amount of burst, he gets pretty tanky and he can dominate lane pretty easily actually. Basically he was kind of like Fiora before she came along, whacked him with a baguette and left him behind. The main difference between the two, I guess, well apart from Jarvan being a guy and Fiora not being a guy, is that Jarvan has more burst whereas Fiora is more sustained damage, and that is where the Duskblade comes in. Your EQ combo plus ultimate was already a huge chunk of damage. Now you add in the extra AD and mark damage from your Duskblade and you've got a real assassin bruiser Jarvan. After his first few damage items he can actually afford to go more tanky and he's still going to kill people. He's that horrible combo of damage and tank that make AD carries like us cry. He matches up well against the other top laners right now, he snowballs hard, he roams well, and all around he's just a solid pick. There was a reason that back in the day he used to be a top tier jungler, and while those days aren't quite back yet, he is slowly getting back there and a great pocket pick people just won't expect yet. So game plan wise, we want to be aggressive early. This is kind of Jarvan's strength I guess. You poke with your Q, you hit them with your passive auto damage, and EQ combo when you want to go all in. Jarvan isn't really complicated, let's be honest. We use our combo, we do damage, we kill people. Once we have our lead top, we really want to try and TP and roam to other lanes. Most of the time we'll snowball the game out of control, but if not, then in team fights we can EQ their backline and one shot most carries, so it doesn't really matter either way. So those first three you could have probably seen coming, maybe not the Jarvan, but you probably weren't expecting Skarner here. Skarner is like a mini version of Udyr, that is the best way I can put it. He's very fast, he's very hard to lock down, he has good damage, and he gets very tanky. He's not really as good as Udyr, he takes a little longer to ramp up damage wise, but once he does get there, you'll have a serious problem. If you're playing a lot of Udyr right now, I definitely think you should give this guy a try for when Udyr is banned or picked away. Iceborne Gauntlet with Cinderhulk makes you so tanky, and you deal so much damage. Like, you have the passive stun which locks people in place, and your ultimate is always going to be high impact. It's kind of the same deal to Udyr really. You used to get kited a lot, and thankfully now, especially in this like assassin meta, with swiftness boots and the lack of hard crowd control, it really helps you. That is actually the other reason I chose him here. When an assassin dives in, you can use your ultimate to lock them in place and let your team kill them really quickly. You're too tanky for assassins to kill, you can kill them with your damage, and he's definitely a good answer to them. So game plan, we have two options, okay? Either you can max your Q and you can farm a lot, you can gank when you can, but you'll need to rely on your laner's CC to lock them down. The other option is maxing your E and you gank a lot. The extra slow plus the stun afterward makes a really nasty combo. Mid game, you really start to take over just like Udyr. You pick fights, you flash ult if you need to, you ult assassins if they dive in. Your speed is your real asset here. Not many people can outrun you, so you catch them alone, you run them down, and you finish the job. Finally, support. I promise it's nothing personal, and I won't always put you guys last, okay? Alright, so Nautilus, kind of another version of Leona, I guess. That's the easiest way to think of him. He does have a lot of damage, he has a lot of lockdown, and is very tanky, which is really everything you don't want to face as an AD carry. Embarrassingly, the amount of times that I've been solo killed by the enemy Naut support is just too damn high, and that's not a lot you can do about it either. He is a kill lane, and a really good one, but as per, it's a double-edged sword. When you're behind, you don't really offer much. Sure, you kind of beefy, but against a fed AD carry, you can't survive too long. If you do get ahead, you become really tanky and hard to kill. It just gives your AD carry a ton of time to hit, and you'll almost always come out on top. Our game plan is just really to ruin the enemy AD carry's day. Thinking about it, I don't know why I'm telling you this, because as an AD carry, Nautilus just makes me cry. You look for hooks, you burn his potions, you set up kills, or you just force him out of lane, and at level 6 you really do have a lot of damage, and because not many people play him right now, they won't expect it when you unload it on their face. Once you have taken your bot tower, or just earlier, you can roam around the map, you gank mid lane, you pressure that tower and force fights while you have a lead. Kill lanes are all about setting up your teammates, getting picks, and snowballing the game that way. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you again to Pro Guys for editing this together for me. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and I'll catch you in my next video.